What is legal in Japan, but illegal everywhere else in the world? Well, Paolo from Tokyo has a wonderful little video explaining exactly what. So, what are those wacky Japanese up to? What are they doing over there? Here we go. Let's find out what you're allowed to do in Japan and not allowed to do anywhere else.
Compared to your country, and if you agree or disagree with any of them. All right, let's do this. Number 1, age of consent.
Uh-oh, that's not a good start, because I've heard some very rough things about the age of consent in Japan, and actually, when you watch literally any anime in the world, first off, all the main characters are basically 15, 16-year-old max. There's a lot of fan service that is incredibly creepy and weird, so I can only imagine this is not going to go in the right direction, it might go in the wrong direction.
This one is a much debated topic in Japan today, but the legal age of consent is 13 years old in Japan.
There's got to be a caveat there, right? There has to be a caveat.
And one of the lowest in the world. Age of consent referring to the minimum age at which a person is considered to be capable of giving consent to sexual acts.
Statutory.
In fact, this has been part of the Japan Penal Code since 1907. More than 100 years without change. Interestingly, most prefectures in Japan have statutes and local ordinances that raise the effective age to between 16 and 18 years old.
Okay, good. I knew there was going to be some kind of caveat because there's no way in the modern age you can still justify that. There's absolutely no way. I will say that Japan in general is very strange about this specific thing. I don't know what it is about the culture that does that,
while
but
at the
it's
same
very,
time
very odd.
leaving some gray area for specific cases. At the end of the day though, the national age of consent in Japan is 13 years old. Number 2.
Like, I understand having Romeo and Juliet laws for specific instances, like if your age of consent law is 16 and you have a 15-year-old with a 16-year-old, obviously you have to have some leeway in some areas. 13? 13? Is that what we're doing? 13?
Marrying cousins. On some
Oh. Oh, I thought this was just a southern thing, but okay.
bit of a lighter note, it's legal in Japan to marry your first cousin. Like many of these laws in the video, it may be legal in some countries, or if you're from the US, in your state. But the truth is, in other parts of the world, marrying your first cousin is still against the law. So I thought this one was worth mentioning.
Okay, so the main reason why marrying your cousin is against the law, because if you have kids, there's a much higher chance they can come out with birth defects. So there is a logical, moral reason for it to be banned. I don't know, it's a weird thing. Why would you want to marry your first cousin? That's very strange from my point of view, but other cultures are other cultures, I guess. The royal families of the Middle Ages always married their sisters and brothers and things like that, and they kept the bloodline pure, and there was no issues there, right?
This law dates all the way back to Japan's Meiji period, when it was passed in 1898. It's common enough in Japan that there's a word for it. Itoko-kon. In fact, there have been many famous and well-known people in Japan who have married their first cousin. For example, Japan's 56th Prime Minister, who's the grandfather of Japan's more recent Prime Minister, Abe, was married to his first cousin.
Jeez. Okay, first off, political dynasties are a little bit cringe, and having the prime ministers constantly be in the same family is weird. Secondly, they're marrying their first cousin, and they're still the leaders. This seems a little similar to how it used to function.
Even 2 prime ministers after him who were also married to their first cousin. One of the reasons for this law was to allow families to keep their wealth within their family. Fortunately, for those living in Japan today who also want to legally spend the rest of their life with their first cousin, Japan is all for it.
Hey, if you want to marry your first cousin, just move to Japan, even though that's really hard to do, so maybe not.
Number 3, defamation. So this is an interesting one. In Japan, you can sue someone for defamation if they damage your honor, aka public image, even if the statements are true. This one kind
Really? I did not know that. That's super interesting. Imagine that. What we should do is we should implement a trial by combat scenario in that as well. So if someone says something that defames your honor, you can, fight them in gladiatorial combat.
kind of blew my mind since I'm from the US and we understand defamation to be the oral or written communication
It's
about
supposed to be
false
false
statement about another that unjustly harms their reputation and usually constitutes a tort or crime. But in Japan, hurting someone's honor or even hurting a company's honor is protected by law.
Okay, that's insane. Companies should not be protected like that. If you're calling out something bad that a company did, there's no way that you should be able to sue someone for defamation if it is true. If it's verifiably true that you're like, Nestle is abusing people in poorer countries by getting them hooked on this baby formula, even though that's true. You can't be like, oh, well, Nestle's just going to sue you into oblivion because we have infinite money. We have an infinite money glitch and we're just going to stop you from saying that now.
Despite
That's
the
so bad.
statements being true, I should note though that many laws in Japan leave a lot of gray area. But the main 3 criteria for defamation in Japan is 1. The statement is shared with the general public. 2. It reveals specific facts, whether true or not.
That's literally anything. It reveals specific facts. What?
And 3. Damages one's honor, either socially, their value, or how they value themselves.
So you could call someone out for doing something terrible that they did, and you're allowed to sue them. If someone did something bad, if someone's like getting cancelled on a twit longer, the guy getting cancelled just be like, hey, well, I'm just gonna sue you. And they might have a chance of actually winning.
For example, telling your coworkers or the public that your married boss is having an affair with someone, even though it's completely true, is considered defamation in Japan. Even online statements, if the 3 previously mentioned criteria are met, can be considered defamation. There are exceptions though, such that you're stating facts about public interest or you're a whistleblower to expose company fraud. But at the end of the day, the Japanese law is to protect individuals and companies from malicious actors that intend to do their honor or image harm.
Okay, protecting individuals is one thing, but protecting companies? I do not like that at all.
Actually happened in Japan. Case 1 in 2018, a person was having an affair and it was posted on social media by a third party. Although the affair was happening, the person sued the third party for defamation. The Tokyo District Court judged for the plaintiff and was awarded 100,000 yen, about $820 today.
Could be worse, to be fair. That's still like a lot of money, but it could be worse.
Case 2, a quasi-rape incident occurred in an event circle. Quasi-rape by Japanese definition is a crime of committing sexual intercourse, anal intercourse, oral sex with another who's passed out under the influence of such as alcohol and lost consciousness to his...
Dude, if you say that the person that was harassed or abused got sued and they lost, I'm just gonna throw myself out a window.
Not able to resist. A magazine published an anonymous report about the incident without giving the subject's real name. In this case, although the incident happened and the subject was anonymous in the report, the court still awarded for the subject, as it was judged that the subject could be identified by judging the totality of the circumstances, and received a total of 4.4 million yen for defamation damages.
No! Am I reading this right? Am I understanding this right? They had to pay $36,000 for being sexually harassed? No shot.
$36,000. Maybe not necessarily illegal around the world, but I thought this one was worth mentioning. So yeah, if you're in Japan and someone's talking that shiz, you may be able to do something about it. Before I continue on, I want to give a quick shout out to my regular sponsor,
thing at all.
Booksu.
That's crazy. All right, let's get on to a bit of a lighter note now, shall we?
Flavors. So the description. Number 4. Food. Now this one is quite a sensitive topic for many people, so I'm gonna try to tread lightly. In Japan, hunting whale and dolphins as well as eating seal and sea lion is completely legal. Although it's part of the diet for some Japanese, it's probably safe to say that most don't eat it regularly. Yet it's still easily found in shops and some restaurants.
Dolphins?
Even a quick search on Amazon will yield results for some of these animals. On the other hand, shark fin also legal.
Okay, shark fin, I've heard that this is illegal like basically everywhere, but it's also, since it's illegal basically everywhere, you can charge like up the arse for it and people still make like a ridiculous amount of money, so there's a lot of poachers going around. I didn't know that. I mean, it makes sense that dolphin is illegal. I didn't know that whale was illegal, but also I didn't know that people ate whale. I thought it was like all fast.
To eat in Japan, probably more commonly eaten, and I think it's fair to say that many Japanese consider it a delicious food as it's easily found on menus, probably most commonly found in Chinese restaurants throughout Japan.
I guess this is the same situation as people that are able to eat dog and maybe cats in other countries. It's an animal that we necessarily wouldn't want to put on a menu anywhere. Maybe, I don't know about the moral argument here because they are animals at the end of the day. I would never eat a dog because I just wouldn't, but at the same time, I would sit here and I would eat chickens. I'm gonna eat pigs. I'm gonna eat cows. I'm gonna eat a ton of animals that are, you know, cognitively pretty much the same, so I don't really have a moral place to stand there.
But since it's such an expensive delicacy here, Japanese probably won't be eating it regularly. In regards to whaling specifically, Joji Morishita, who negotiated Japan's withdrawal from the International Whaling Commission, said in Japan, the whale eating issue is a symbol of respect for different cultures. And many people in Japan think it's not right for people from outside to impose food culture on other places.
Okay, I understand that, but also at the same time, where do you... I don't know. I really don't know enough about the situation to make a comment. It seems really weird to me that that is a thing that happens. Someone smarter than me can probably make a better judgment on that, though.
Whether you agree with any of this or not, the simple fact is, at this time, it's legal to eat these foods here in Japan. And number 5, cigarettes. So these days, we all pretty much know that cigarettes are not that good for you. Many
Can you still smoke inside in Japan?
places around the world have laws protecting citizens, including children, from cigarettes and secondhand smoke. But Japan, although not there yet, is slowly catching up. There are still things that you can do legally here in Japan when it comes to cigarettes that aren't necessarily legal in other parts of the world. In Japan, you can still buy cigarettes from vending machines. Granted, you have a passport photo ID card and you're of age. Also, although most indoor smoking as of 2020 has been prohibited, you can still smoke in hotel rooms, cigar bars, and even some small-sized restaurants and bars that were open before April 2020.
That's kind of crazy. I think that's a really big drawback on the hotels, because imagine walking into a hotel and it stinks of cigarette smoke. Like, that's a drawback for the company. You'd think that the company wants to be seen in a good way and a good light, and if you just walk into a place and it stinks of cigarette smoke, that's immediately going to drop a point on your opinions, right?
I feel like there's still a lot of restaurants and bars all throughout Japan that were open before 2020. Either way, Japan has come a long way from where it was just a few years ago, when wherever you went indoors, you can pretty much smoke inside. Anyways, those...
Yeah, I think people are smoking is a lot more common in like South Korea and Japan. South Korea, I've especially. I watch South Korean shows all the time and they're always smoking. It's like all the time. It's crazy. I understand that the Japanese government probably moves a little bit slower on this as well, because I have heard that, you know, the culture over there is it's a little bit more slow moving, a little bit more resistant to change, which is fine. That's not necessarily a bad thing. The smoking thing in general is proven that there are health problems from that, so maybe you do something about that. At the end of the day, all the countries are different, and it is cool and interesting always to see the difference in all of the different countries. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. We do stream here pretty much every single day at 4 p.m. UK time, and also subscribe to the second channel because I react here all the time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!